Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Talk Network channel. Welcome here to this review of This Is Us. I thought we were going to have an episode last week. 2 weeks ago, they decided not to have the episode during the week because they thought that's when the president was going to speak the State of the Union. And then this past week, they actually did. So they had to then preempt it another week moving forward. And then from there, we finally have an episode this week, this past Tuesday, yesterday, last night. So finally into this episode, but let's dive into it. Let's talk about it. And time that we do say this, we do have to say, but we now see the twisted wisdom that is in what This Is Us, and he keeps saying maybe Jack never should have come to get him in Vietnam. It's just, I'll explain here soon. That's probably, but go down this rabbit hole with me in my thinking. If Jack hadn't brought Nikki to camp, the boy from the village might not have died. And if Nikki had managed to survive the war without overdosing or getting himself killed, there could have been more of a chance for the brothers' reconciliation, given that blame for the children's death wouldn't have been a factor. Continuing that thread of thought of mine, if Jack hadn't hidden his brother's continued existence from his family for decades, perhaps Kevin wouldn't have put so much significance into coming to the rescue of an estranged uncle who really didn't want to be saved. And then possibly, Kevin could have come out of this week's episode with his sobriety intact here. But wishes and is what it is. The hard truth is that Kevin's self-appointed mission to salvage Nikki and his relationship with the family fails in Songbird Road Part 2 here in this episode, leading a discouraged Kevin to take his first drink since leaving rehab. But the rest of the mission underway, we pick up with Kevin, Randall, and Kate still in Nikki's trailer after finding him sitting with the booze and the gun. With his hand on his uncle's shoulder, Kevin softly says, "Come on, you're spending the night at the hotel with us. This is us. You're going to stay in a hotel with us." They already relocated to where the big three are staying, but Nick doesn't seem interested in doing anything other than sleeping. In the hallway outside his room, the Pearson kids have a conference. Kevin insists that they have it to help the older man, given that he's shown strong signs of post-traumatic stress disorder and alcoholism. Kate gently points out that Nikki has been living that way for years, and maybe a huge change isn't the best idea. When they all agree that someone's got to fill Rebecca in, though no one wants to do it, of course, Kevin gets pissy and he says he'll call their mom. By breakfast the next morning, Kevin hasn't slept. He spent the night looking for nearby places that offer resources for veterans. But Nikki seems far more interested in dumping a pound of sugar on his cereal than in seeking treatment. And then someone walks up to their table. I'm Rebecca. Mama Pearson says, not very warmly to Nick, "I was Jack's wife." Rebecca is taken aback by how much Nick's eyes resemble Jack's. She wants to know if he knew about their family, which is when Nikki reveals the visit we saw unfold in the previous episode. It took place in 1992, we learned, but stop. He seemed very happy, Nick says. Seeming very uncomfortable, then excuses himself to go outside. Based on the looks on the remaining Pearson's faces, Jack never told any of them about his trip to the lumber supplier was a sham. In a flashback to right after Jack got home from seeing Nikki, we see him did have trouble sleeping, and the next morning he was a little too zoned out. So Rebecca took one for the team and volunteered to drive Kevin to the mall for a baseball card signing. Jack was acting so strangely, wasn't it? Rebecca says, adding that it was close to Valentine's Day. The episode toggles between the flashback and the present day, but for simplicity's sake, here's what happened on the day after Jack returned. Kevin was his usual bratty self while in line for the signing. Rebecca missed the actual moment her son met the player because she had to pee, but When she came back, she watched from afar while her son was all smiles and chatter with the Pittsburgh Pirates' John Smiley. But when he was done, Kevin wanted to tell her what they were talking about. So she asked Smiley, who told her that Kevin had heard the rumors that he was going to be traded to the Minnesota Twins and had looked up some suggestions of what to do in his free time in Minnesota, based on the hobbies listed on Smiley's rookie card. Rebecca was taken aback, A, to see evidence that preteen Kevin had the ability to be kind and considerate, and B, to realize that her son knew how to research something. Meanwhile, what was going on at the house was a whole other story with Jack's blow-ups. Jack blows up. Jack begged out of helping Kate and Randall make Valentines for their classmates. Randall knew something was up with his dad, but Jack continually insisted he was fine. He left the kids alone in the house while he went out in the back to lift weights / burn off some of his unease, telling them to order pizza for themselves when they got hungry. When Jack returned inside, though, he flew into a rage upon seeing how messy the kids' card-making activities had become. He scooped up the pizza they were eating, and stomped into the kitchen. A moment later, the kids ran in after hearing a plate break. Jack mumbled that the dish had slipped out of his hand, but the pizza stain on the wall, far from where he was standing, told the truth. He'd thrown it. A little while later, a much cooler Jack apologized to his son and daughter, saying he was tired. Kate and Randall forgave him, and then Jack started a goofy sequin fight with the kids, which Kevin eagerly jumped into when he and Rebecca returned home. Back in the present-day storyline, Kevin talks a big game about getting Nikki help, but you can tell from the looks on Randall and Kate's faces that they're going to bail, and soon. Kate says she has a doctor's appointment in California the next day. Then Randall brings up a point that Beth needs him around for moral support while she's unemployed, adding, "I can't just camp out in some hotel with an uncle that doesn't want our help and who did not want us to know in the first place." Kevin's temper flares, but he immediately apologizes, then turns to Rebecca. "Looks like it's you and me." Later, Nikki visits a counseling center with the remaining Pearsons, but it's clear here she's only doing this to be polite. Nick tells his nephew that he's seen counselors before, with no success. "I'm a drunk," he says. "Also, I can't seem to leave my trailer without getting the shakes." On their last night at the hotel, Rebecca tells her former brother-in-law it's time for them to talk. While Kevin goes to Nikki's trailer to try and clean things up, Rebecca tells Nick she didn't want to meet him because I didn't want to unravel what Jack had always told me. She tries to eke some childhood memories out of him, but no dice. Then she tells Nick that his brother was nearly sober at the time of his death and that he might have found his way back to him. "You still have a chance to make things right because I'm here, and his son is here," she says, adding that Kevin had had a tough year and is just worried about his uncle. Let me get this straight. The message is shape up, Nick. Shape up, Nick, because the kids need a win? Her snaps at her. "I know he's being mean. I know Rebecca is just trying to make things better, but, yeah. But either way, she gets up and leaves. Outside, Nick stops Rebecca's apology about invading his space to tell her a story about what a great builder Jack was. "Even as a kid, I used to be a person," he tells her dejectedly. "I wish I could be that person again, but it's been so long, I don't think I can." And he cries a little. He says, "By way of parting, you guys were all he ever wanted." A plate debate. That's the plate debate here that I have as a topic here. Or let's put a pin in that and check it in with Randall and Kate, who decide to swing by their old neighborhood before taking Kate's to the airport. Their old house isn't there anymore, of course, but they knock on the door of the new home and ask if they can come in. The family that's there says no, given they're in the middle of an emotional argument. And given the show's history, I have expect them to get their own backstory episode next week, or next season. But they eventually change their mind and let the Pearson siblings in and look around. While they're exploring, Kate reminisces about the sequin fight and what an awesome day that was. Randall's all broken plate. She maintains that never happened. Then they proceed to have a broad family discussion that goes on far too long until the home's new inhabitants, having apparently come in their senses, politely kick the pair out. Did I misremember our entire childhood? Kate remembers in the car afterward. But Randall reassures her that Jack so often made things good. That is what, and that is what she remembers. When Randall gets home, he greets his daughter, and then is surprised to see Beth heading out the door. Her mom hurt her hip again, so she and Zoe are going to see how she's doing. In Bradford, Kevin drives Nikki home and helps him fix his leaky roof. Nick says he'll go to at least one meeting at the vet center, which is something. And he wishes he could tell Kevin that he's fixed. But you and your family, it's just too painful. So they shake hands and say maybe they'll meet again. And then Kevin leaves. In the car ride home, Kevin looks despondent. Rebecca gives him a pep talk about how he should feel good about doing what he set out to do. But she's not aware of what happened when he was at Nikki's trailer all by himself. And thanks to a flashback, we find out what that is. And what happened, we know that Kevin wound up drinking a lot of the liquor that was sitting on Nikki's table and had his first relapse. All in all, a pretty dang good episode. Sorry about the closeness of my face while I was doing that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review, enjoyed this episode of the show in itself. Let me know what you think of everything going on. And all the storylines and interwoven things. This is us, being the creative show that it is. I look forward to seeing it continue going on. But either way, hope to hear your thoughts on things and look forward to talking to you guys in the next episode of the show. I do have other videos that I do obviously on the channel, but if you're here specifically for This Is Us reviews, thank you and I appreciate it. Welcome to check it out. Welcome to subscribe to my channel. Let people know as I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers and grow from there. The goal for any YouTuber is to get that 1 million subscriber mark. But for me, let's just start with 500, then 1,000, and go from there. But I thank you all for viewing it. You all have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the weather in your area. And above all else, as always, take care.